So hello and welcome to Let's Talk SEO. One of the biggest ranking factors that most people watching my channel already know is backlinks. But getting backlinks is hard. In fact, it's near impossible depending on what your budget is like and what kind of websites you're trying to rank. If you're, for instance, in the casino niche or in the finance niche or in the legal niche, finding great backlinks that really give your website that push it needs to rank number one is near impossible. Now, unless you have a budget of $10,000 a month, you're not going to find good backlinks. Now, there's one way around that, and that is to build your own semantic network, which is kind of hard, but in a way, it's rewarding because if you do it correctly, you can put a handful of links, and with the right strategy, you can rank just about any website with good technical SEO, with good content, number one. And I've done it consistently over and over again. I've replicated this across multiple industries. And here's the reason why. When I audit websites that are ranking 1, 2, 3, 4 in any number of industries, and I break down their backlinks to see what kind of links are passing equity, I see that it's maybe like 4 or 5 high quality links that are passing equity. And when you have like a DA7 or a DA9 website and you're looking at, a competitor that has a DA84 website and you were saying like, okay, all right, so I can't beat this competitor. Well, look at their backlinks. And if you dissect their backlink profile, like I do with my backlink audits, when I onboard a client, so one of the things I do is I do a backlink audit. And when I do that audit, I see it's maybe like 4 or 5 really high quality links that are passing equity. And the vast majority of links are maybe passing a little bit of equity, but most times they're not. And they're not even semantically relevant to the topic that's being covered. And so most times you can overtake those websites. And I've consistently, with my brand new domain, overtaken DA90 websites, DA70 websites, DA84 websites. And I've done it in e-commerce. I've done it in just regular blogging in the crypto space. I've done it in the gambling space and all of these hard niches, including the legal niche, which is considered like super hard to rank in because it's so competitive. I've done it again and again and again. And so in this video, I'm going to show you how to build that semantic network. Now, just because I don't want to make a 3-hour long video, I'm going to break this up like real quick and go through this real fast. So I assume you know how to buy a domain, how to connect a domain to a hosting service. And I also assume that you know what a DNS is. I also assume that you know that Google is tracking you. And so one of the things that you need to do is to cover your tracks so that Google doesn't see that all of these websites in the network are associated with your profile or with you. And there are various ways of doing it. I'm not going to cover all the different ways in this video, but I'm going to cover some of these tactics in this video. Now, I personally manage 16 different PDN, PBN networks custom built for my clients. And so I need to do this on an ongoing, regular basis. The way you manage this is to have VAs, is to have a team, is to have a VPN. So make sure the prerequisites is having a VPN, creating individual Google accounts, creating individual Google Cloud accounts, creating different names, keeping track of everything. So that's something you would have to do, or you would have to hire a VA to do and train them how to do it. So if you're looking for someone to create a semantic network for you, well, yours truly is here. I can help create that network. And in fact, I create a lot of networks. So if you're looking and you think your content is on point and everything else is on point and just the backlinks that are holding you back, get in touch with me. I can help you. I can create a semantic network for you. And interestingly, it's not as hard and it's not as expensive as trying to buy guest posts, which, they don't really work. So let's jump into the video and let me show you exactly what I do. All right, so first things first, I'll just walk through what we're gonna do and what you're gonna need. So the first thing is you will need an expired domain. So this is where you'll start. All right, so and you can get these from quite a few places. You can buy one from expireddomains.com, or I think it's .net. You can also buy one from ODYS. How much should you spend on buying an expired domain for a PBN? I would say anywhere from $50 to $100. Now, this is mainly niche dependent. There are some niches very expensive. For example, with the law niche, I have spent upwards of $500 on buying an expired domain because finding a good domain with a good backlink profile is really hard for these industries, and for gambling it's even harder. For crypto it's like super abused, so finding a great domain with a great backlink profile is really hard. Now this video I'm not going to go through how to find a domain with a great backlink profile. This is something I assume you know how to do. If you don't know how to do this, just leave a comment below the video and I'll make a tutorial on how to find a good domain. Now there are other videos on YouTube that teach this, so I'm not going to go into this. And there's no really right or wrong way of doing it. The right way is just to find one that has a great backlink profile. Now, what you shouldn't do is buy a new domain. Now, if it's a brand new domain with no history, it's going to go into the sandbox, and you're not going to be able to juice this up and get traffic to it, which is our goal in the next 3-4 months. It's just not going to happen. You need an existing domain, and preferably a drop domain. So if a domain was recently dropped, that's what you want to get. You also want a niche relevant domain. Now, what does that mean? So let's say you sell, kitchen accessories. So kitchen accessories. All right. So let's say you sell kitchen accessories, and you find a domain in the plumbing niche. So this will be relevant to the PBN. You might find one in the home improvement niche. This too will be relevant. What will not be relevant is car racing or sports. So this is something that's not going to be relevant unless you're creating a general PBN, which I highly recommend you don't. If you're creating a custom PBN, it should be highly relevant. So not only do you want the domain to be relevant to this niche, but the name should be relevant. So if it's a plumbing website or a plumbing PBN, it shouldn't have something like, superman.com or, superlawyers.com. So that's something you want to be aware of. Preferably, I would have the name plumbing in it. Preferably, I would have the name kitchen in it. Preferably, I would have the name or the term faucet or kitchen sink or drain. These relevant terms should be in the domain name. Now, granted, it's hard to find these kind of domains, but if you can't find it, just something that's in the plumbing niche will work. Okay. So once you have the domain, you don't want to get what's called hosting. So with hosting, you're not getting regular hosting. So this is not your regular run-of-the-mill hosting. You have to get PBN hosting. Now you could use regular hosting, but you'd have to be very good at covering your tracks, and most people are not. So if you're new to this, getting a PBN host would be preferable. Now, there are a few drawbacks to using a PBN host, which I will get into later on in this video when I show you how to set up the PBN. But by and large, you just want to avoid regular hosting services. And how much will you pay for this? Well, you're looking at anywhere from $4 per month to $20 per month. This depends on the quality of the hosting service. I would advise you go for the highest quality PBN host. Now, because these are going to be you want to juice them up when you get traffic to them. And if Google is unable to crawl them, Google is unable to index them, people are unable to access them, there's not going to be traffic on your site. So I set up a PBN on a cheap host, and it doesn't work as well as it should, but I set it up for demonstration purposes. Now these guys have a higher tier or more expensive tier that you can use, which is a little better, but I set up the low tier because it's essentially the same for all PBN hosting services. So the PBN host I use, but I don't necessarily recommend them. Working on designing the site, building the site, you kind of run out of resources. And when you run out of resources, you'll get an error. And so if you get a few visitors to your site, it just drops off. And so, that's a problem. And if you publish content to your site and you maybe publish more than 3 or 4 pages, it suddenly drops off. So that's a problem. Now, Granted, I have the lowest tier. They have a few different tiers here. You can go for an A-class blog for SEO. This is probably the one I would recommend. I don't know how much they charge for this, but with me, I just use the private blogs, the PBNs, and this is what I have set up. So these are the PBNs I have set up. The one in question that we're going to be looking at this is the one I set up for demonstration purposes. You can see it's bland. There's no design to it. There's no nothing to it, because I've set it up because I'm not a designer. And usually when I set these up, these look like real websites, and that is how they should be set up correctly. You can do this using GeneratePress, and just hire someone to set up a GeneratePress website for you. It's real fast. It's real good. Google trusts it, so most VPNs also don't use it. So you can use that, and you can use any other theme. And the reason I set this up like that is because I wanted to do something really fast, and I wanted to put a lot of content. Now this website gets a bit of traffic. I haven't worked on it. I'll show you exactly how I set it up. So what I've done here is, once you've hooked up your domain name to the PBNs, and usually if you go here and you look at this, so here these are the name servers. So mainly you'll be pointing your Namecheap domain or whatever domain you own to these name servers. And once that's done and the connection is built, it takes around 24 hours. You also then get a free SSL. So once that's hooked up, you enable the free SSL, and then you have an SSL certificate. You can also set up directly Google Analytics directly through here. You can also set up a clicky also through here. So you don't have to build a secondary email address just to have Google Search Console, or just to have Clicky or any of these. And so you can have 3 different websites. You can set it up individually, but I would recommend that you set these up by having 3 different Google Gmail addresses, and you use a VPN when you create those Gmail addresses. So ignore this over here, and once this is hooked up, you can go ahead and set up your PBN. So you go to Account Manage over here, your login. This is all automatically done. WordPress is automatically set up on your site, and the benefit of doing this is that there's nothing for you here to do. So you don't have to set up the login individually. You don't have to set up any of the plugins individually. Everything can be done automatically. And if you click here, this logs you into the site. Now, you can also back up your PBN, which I recommend that you do. And this is the disk space we have left, so we're not using a lot of this space. But as I said, if you use this, and even if you're designing the site, you keep getting errors because it keeps dropping off. This is not the highest tier. I would recommend that you move up to the next tier, which is going to be a little expensive, but if you're serious about generating traffic, that is where you should be. So if you go to plugins, you can literally add the plugins you want from here. You can enable and disable them directly from here, so you don't have to go into your website and do this. And so you're all done. So once you're hooked up everything, you go to create new blog. And as you see, I've run out of the maximum number of these that I can have, but it's very simple. You just, add a new blog, WordPress blog, set up the subscription. Once you set up the subscription, you don't need to log in. So I'll just show you how I set these up. So I'll go to manage account, and I'll go to just log in here real quick and show you guys the back end. So one of the prerequisites of having a PBN is that you have to have traffic to it, and you have to have content to get traffic to it. And if you're writing content all on your own, or you hire a writer, it's going to be hard. So once you have a well-designed website, once you figure out what your niche is, you're going to post on related niches. So in this case, I wanted to, let's say, have a SEO. So what I've done is, so these blogs are essential package complementations for developers, the essential packaging. So this is mainly IT related in general. And so this is an IT related PBN. Boost your e-commerce business, 9 key strategies for longer online presence, explore the package desk. I have all of this over here, and this auto publishes. If you look at read this. They don't read great, but it requires absolutely no effort on my part. It just works. And so once you've set up your Google Search Console, which I recommend that you do, you can do this through the Sitekit. So if you install the Sitekit plugin, you can set it up automatically. Just put in your email address, which again, create a separate email address and don't rely on the email addresses that you already have. So every PBN should have its own separate Gmail address that's created using a different IP address, which you can do using a VPN. So that's very important. You don't want to leave any tracks behind, even though with SikaHost, which is the PBN host over here, you don't need to worry about a lot of the footprints with your hosting because they handle that, but you could leave footprints by way of accessing those websites. So I have the site kit by Google already set up. I have Clicky Analytics set up. The next thing you want to set up is WP-RSS aggregator. The next thing you want to set up is WP Auto AI Writer and Rewriter. And so you'll set this up, but if you want 20 AI generated articles a month, it's £9.99. And if you use the 100 generated, 9.99, okay, so $9.99 or £9.99 or whatever. I don't know what this is in the UK, or you can get the bigger mega plan, which is 100 AI generated per month, 150 blog posts per month, and you can just sign up for these over here. Once you sign up, or once you use a free tier, the way I have, it auto generates the image, it does everything. I showed you the post. So here it does pretty much all of this on autopilot. But what you need to do is to set this up correctly. And to do that, you go to automatic post. And what I've done here is I've hooked this up to another website's feed. So what I'm doing here is when you set this up, you put in the website's name, and this is essentially the feed from where the AI is getting the articles. So this is the feed, and so you'd go to the website. So for instance, this is the website from where it's auto posting. This is the website from where it's rewriting content and auto posting it. And all you have to do is like copy the link. So this is the blog posts or the news section, and you put in feed at the end. Just see if this is working. If you see this after you put feed at the end, it means that this feed link is working. For some, there's no feed link. They've disabled it. So if that's the case, it will not work. For this demonstration, I just used one feed, but you could maybe change the feeds and have multiple feeds with the paid version. And then you can click here, rewrite with AI SEO friendly, rewrite content with AI friendly, generated thumbnails. Once you've set all of this up, you can also generate a prompt. It generates a prompt for you. Pretty self-explanatory, save, and it just goes ahead and publishes each month on autopilot. So this is how the PBN is essentially set up on the front end and the back end. But now you need to juice these PBNs up, because right now if you link from this PBN to your site, it's going to have absolutely no value. It's going to not pass any equity. Google doesn't know this website exists. Google doesn't care about this website. So you want to make Google care about this website. So what you'll do here, so what you'll do now is once you have 10x articles, once you have 10 of these, you will check their internal linking structure. You need to make sure that all these articles are linking to each other. So article A, and this is very important. If you get this wrong, this is just not going to work as well as it should, or it might tank, it might just tank anyways. So all of these articles, and I'm going to just do this, but you get the idea. All these articles should be shown on the home page. So that's very important. On the home page. So your home page should look like a real blog
or a real news site, and you can do a news site, but it should be on the homepage. Plus, you want article A, which is usually going to be oldest article. So this is the oldest, and this is the newest, okay? So you always want the oldest article to link to the newest article. So every 10 articles, you'll check your internal links. So oldest article to the newest article. Okay, this is old number 2. So this is the second oldest. This will link to the second oldest article, second newest article over here. And this is the third oldest, and this will link to the third newest, okay? So this is how the internal links will be set up. Now, in terms of anchor text, you want to use your semantic keywords in the anchor text. So if you're a plumber, it will be plumbing, it will be sink, all right, it will be pipe, it will be countertop, all right, you have countertop. So these will be your main anchor text that you use to create the internal linking for your PBN. Now, there are a few other prerequisites to make sure that you're building a PBN that looks like a real site, but then also ranks and also gets traffic. So the way I get traffic to these is by starting with doing social media. So whenever an article is posted, let's say article A is posted, you post this on that website. So that website should have its own social media property. So it should be on Facebook, it should be on Twitter, it should be, okay, so Facebook and Twitter are the most important. So it should be posting, and there's a plugin that auto posts. So the auto post that article to your Facebook and Twitter profile. So you then you would have to create Facebook profile and a Twitter profile for that website. Not a page, but a profile. And you can have a profile that has a name like Plumbers in New York. That's not a problem. You can also create a page, but a profile is a lot more effective. And then you add people to that profile. And what happens is that once you start posting enough of these, you'll start getting some people that start clicking to your website. So that's your initial traffic will come from. Now, you also have to build a more sustainable source of traffic that's not social media. So it will have to come from Google and other search engines. For that, you'll have to juice up your domain. Now, to juice up your domain, you'll buy what's called links, right? And these can be your run-of-the-mill forum links, Quora links. These can Reddit links. I mean, you can send all of these types of links to the site. But in addition to that, you would also want to send more cheap guest posts. So, you don't, like, quality doesn't matter over here because we're just juicing up the domain. So you'll do guest posts, you niche edits, and I made a video about niche edits, and you will have these links point to the site as well. So you'd have a diverse link profile. And you don't want to do like really expensive links, because with these, you do this for 3 months and you'll start seeing results. The thing is that you're essentially also not only juicing up the domain, but you're also making sure that Google kind of comes in and indexes the content in the domain. Now, all of the pages on my site here are indexed, and I'll show you that in a second. But when you do a backlink profile check, you'll not see a lot of these links because they're being cloaked. And they're not cloaked by me, but they're cloaked by Google, and they're cloaked by the PBN service provider. And so if someone does a reverse profile look at your website, you'll then not see all of these links. And even with Google, it crawls all of these links. It does see the value in them. And also, since this is a content heavy site, this is a more informational site or a news site, Google sort of expects that there are going to be these kind of links that link to it. And so you're perfectly fine over there. So you don't have to worry. And if the one PBN site gets hit, you can just disconnect it, take it off. Now, after 3 months, of doing this. So in 3 months, you should have, I would say, around 100 articles. So you would have 100 articles posted to your PBN. Once you have these 100 articles posted to your PBN, you then create an article that's specific to your business. Okay, so before you do that, you'd also want to check if it's indexed by Search Console. So if you see that your pages are getting indexed by Search Console, you see that they're getting traffic, which will take around 3 months. You then post 2 articles specific to your niche. So these will be about your business. These can be about the service you provide. This can be about the products you sell, but these will be specific to your niche. And from here, you will have 2 branded anchor texts. So you brand. Very important over here is this should be brand, not keyword anchor text. And these will go to your homepage. And this is how you'll set it up. Now, later on, once you have more articles, once this stuff kind of starts growing, you can have pages to your internal, links to your internal pages. But for now, this is the safest way of doing it. Now, I'll show you that indexed. As you can see, all of this over here, which is AI generated content, is all indexed. And I can assure you that they're also getting traffic. So as you can see, all of these pages are indexed, which means that I am definitely on the right track. The only thing that over here is that I set up Google Search Console just maybe like 2 days ago because I forgot to set it up correctly. And so I had to redo it, and I did it 2 days ago, and I had to change the link profile. So by default, if you're using WordPress, I was using the default link profile. So you can see here, it has a lot of these weird links that are indexed. So you can see page is equal to 427, page is equal to ID number 5. So I just made a mistake and I forgot about not setting up the pages correctly. So if you're gonna do this, just make sure that you're setting up the pages for your site correctly. And over here, you'll do latest posts, and you'll then go settings, you'll go to permalinks, and you'll make sure it's post name. So this is what you want to select, not anything else. So by default, I had this selected, which is why all the pages that are indexed and they're getting traffic, they're not showing in Google Search Console. And because I changed the link profile, the link structure, and I also just set up Google Search Console. It's kind of not showing a lot over here, but it's already showing like my average position is 16, and it's improving because I just set it up. As you can see, data is here from June the 2nd. So I just set it up, and it hasn't had enough time to go through all of this, but I am getting traffic on the pages. As you can see, since the structure changed, I have some of these crawl currently not indexed, and these are all feed pages. And so you'd also want to just disallow. So all of these feed pages, you just want to disallow them, not create these pages to begin with. And so the other thing I did here, and you'd notice, is I hooked this up to my main email address. This specific domain and this specific everything was set up to demonstrate how to create a PBN. All right, so this is how you create a PBN. The other thing you'd want to just power tip here before I leave is to make sure that you're not creating these types of URLs. So no feed, so make sure you disable feed. Make sure you also disable those page is page question mark equal to, these kind of things. You'd also want to make sure that your username is not gibberish, but it's a human name. So Google kind of crawls that too. And finally, just make sure that your internal linking structure is set up correctly. Now, there are other things that go into this, but I don't want to make a 4-hour long video, but if you want to get started and get your feet wet into PBNs, this is where you'd want to start. And if you have a question, as always, just leave a comment. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Hope you guys found this video useful. As always, like and subscribe, leave a comment below, and I will see you in the next video.